Hello, everybody. Thank you for returning to our YouTube channel. I am Brian with Technology United for Ukraine. And as you know, we are officially attached to the Ukrainian Armed Forces through a unit called the Birds of Fury. And they are a Ukrainian military R&D organization that works alongside us to create innovative technologies for the Ukrainian Armed Forces. And if you're an engineer, scientist, technologist, or anybody wants to help us out, the link is in the description. Come join us. All right, let's get right into what I'm going to do first is get into the losses that the Russians had and then get into a little bit of news. So let's just start. So as of January 27, 2025, the amount of soldiers that have expired on the battlefield, Russian soldiers, has hit 831,620, with 1,430 being added to the overall number of wounded and expired. And by the way, the wounded number here, I do not make that up. I don't make this chart. You can see this is from the Ukrainian Armed Forces, and they create this number, this wounded number, through a calculation, and it's roughly about three times whatever the losses were of those soldiers that have expired on the battlefield. So they'll multiply it, do the math, and you'll see it comes out to 2,494,860. And that is their calculation from the Ukrainian Armed Forces. All right. Armored combat vehicles has hit 20,561 with 12 being added. Tanks, 9,871 with 3 being added. Artillery has hit 22,339 with 16 being added. And let's go back in time a little bit. We're going to go over the weekend and into Friday to see what the losses were. So here we have 1,720 were added to casualties, with 14 artillery pieces being added. Again, 1,650 and artillery 14, 1,500. And this was Friday, I believe, with 39 artillery pieces being added. And the day before was really high. It was 62 artillery pieces. So the losses of artillery has gone down over the past few days. It could be weather. Sometimes they can't get the drones up there, or there just isn't as many targets as there was before. As we've seen, the North Koreans are rushing artillery to Russia to shore up these front lines. All right, let's get into this number here. And this number has to do, I like to focus on, now this is vehicle and fuel tanks. Now we've seen this number hit over 200, and it's really ticked up over the past few months. And I think it has a lot to do with them having a strategy, as they say, the old adage, logistics, battles, bullets win battles, logistics wins wars. And there's a reason that has been a time kept statement, because it's true. If you take out the ability of the enemy to resupply, troops can't eat, they can't get their ammunition, they can't get their fuel. It becomes a disaster quickly. So I'm thinking, with all of the attacks inside of Russia on their fuel depots, and then inside of the Ukraine, where they have fuel depots near the front lines, they've been hitting those, and fuel trucks. So I think this is a long-term strategy, but we're going to start seeing results as, vehicles can't move, tanks can't move, and supplies are not getting to where they need to go. So let's pay attention to that over the next couple months as they progress with this strategy. All right, I brought this picture up here, and this is interesting. They have these cages to stop drones from coming in. Now, I don't know the bigger drones, like the ones the size of Cessnas, this would have an impact, but it was supposed to stop the smaller ones, which they're using quite frequently, and they have not worked. For whatever reason, the munitions just punch right through all this stuff and hit the tank and, ignite it. So this has been a common theme and a common problem for their fuel depots and supplies. All right, so let's get into a little bit more here. This is a picture of a destroyed Shahid. And what happened is the Ukrainians in and I may say this wrong, Orlo Overblast, okay, was a Shahid drone storage facility, which they targeted the Ukrainians and blew up 200 Shahid drones. So this is big because they've hit the manufacturing plants, the assembly places. They've had some assembly places. And, that's going to really constrict their ability to deploy the Shahid. So you're getting them in their supply, where they're being supplied, where they're being manufactured, and even some places where they may assemble some parts before they're shipped off to the main, I guess, manufacturing plant, because it was a place that was developing, was building their parts for the engine, I believe. So they hit those. So all along that logistics, again, another focus on logistics chain, they're taking out little pieces of it here and there, and that causes major setbacks, and sometimes will just paralyze the entire logistics chain that needs to be set up to create these Shahids. All right, so now let's look at the deep state map. And as you know, I like looking at Pokrovsk because this is where the main initiative by the Russians is happening on the front lines. They're moving this way, obviously, to cut off the supplies to Pokrovsk, and this way. And they're almost here. They almost got this cut off. They lost a lot, though, to get here. And I want to show you something that really kind of put it in perspective to me, is measuring. Let's see how far they've made it. So they started this offensive, obviously, at the beginning of the war with a heavy focus in this area. And over the 3 years, and just massive losses in this, I mean, really big losses, they've made it almost 50 kilometers. Think of that. How much was lost and expended? And this is all they could take. Not that losing any land in Ukraine is okay, but the idea you would lose tens of thousands of troops and thousands of pieces of artillery and armored personnel carriers and, all the other things that are found near the front lines, their EW systems, were just ground up in this area. So let's take a look at what occurred over the past few days. So watch in this area here and this area here. So we're going to go back in time. There we go, a few days. Let's go back to the 21st. And now let's start forward. You can see them creeping. And, here it kind of stalled, probably because the Ukrainians are putting up a really heavy defense in this area here. And here, they're still making progress. But to get here, I do believe the Ukrainians are going to probably put up a robust defense in this area. Because remember, the Russian tactic is to move out. So if where they want to take is in here, they're going to basically do a very classic military strategic move, which is come out and then close it off. So they'll start working in this way here, and as they work forward here. So this is their goal. How long it's going to take is really up to the amount of defensive positions that the Ukrainians have put there, whether they think it's worth holding, and at the cost of their soldiers and their equipment. All right, everybody, appreciate you coming by. Slava Ukraini, and come join us. The link is in the description.